Assalamualaikum semua. Hari ni me, Faiz, Is and Adil will present about the impact of nuclear accidents and Vietnam War on plants, animals and humans. So these are the general causes of nuclear accidents. The first one is design flaws, natural disaster and also human error. And the focus for today is the nuclear accidents in Chernobyl and also Fukushima.
So first and foremost, we akan masuk part yang one of the examples yang Ali mentioned tadi, which is Chernobyl. So what exactly caused it to happen? First and foremost is inadequately trained personnel. Operators took action in violation of the plant's procedures. They tak ikut safety procedures and they tak trained well enough lah. Then another reason is flawed reactor design. RBMK reactors do not have what is known as a containment structure. And this is sebab ni dia punya radiation tu, when the explosion happened, the radiation spread to the environment very quickly. Per choice of materials, the graphite blocks used as a moderating material in the reactor, they caught fire at high temperature, and the burning ni juga contributed to the spreading of the radionuclides to the environment. Boleh next slide. So how did it happen exactly? So the operators were running a test to see if they boleh run the coolant pumps in case of a loss of power, and to see if the reactor can keep running until emergency diesel generator kicks in. So to do that, they turned down the reactor to 25%. Then sebab dia tak ikut safety precautions, suddenly the power level tu dropped to 1%. So when they tried to increase the power balik, sebab design RBMK ni or reactor Bolshoi-Moshnov canal ni, they're different than regular standard commercial designs. When they tried to increase the power back to a more stable level, what happened was it experienced a massive power surge. So bila power surge ni happen, the nuclear chain reaction they increase, and the power output of the reactors, the power output they increase. So when the power surge happened, this caused a sudden increase in heat in the reactors. The hot fuel combined dengan the cold water tu, they produce a mass of steam, and this caused a pressure breaking the pressure tube, and this caused an explosion. It lifted the lid of the reactor tu. So this caused the radioactive materials to escape and emitted to the environment. Then when the radionuclides to escape to the environment, this caused a second explosion when the hydrogen reacted with the zirconium. The hydrogen from the steam reacted with the zirconium from the radiation that was emitted. So sebab, as I mentioned tadi, they did not have the proper containment structure macam yang lain. So this caused the radioactive materials to very easily escape into the environment. The fire burned continuously for 10 days, releasing a large amount of radiation into the atmosphere. So the radiation will continue to spread via rain and whatever. So we can go to the next slide, Ali.
So this is how Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster happened. So number one, dia punya ni simple je. The accident was triggered by the Tohoku earthquake. Mula-mula dia ada earthquake dekat near the tempat dia punya nuclear tu. And then bila dia dah ada earthquake, on detecting the earthquake, the active reactors automatically shut down their normal power generating fission reactions. Sebab yang dia punya electric dia, yang power generator electric first dia yang paling main punya, bila dah earthquake tu memang automatically off. So dia akan provide electrical power to the pumps. Power generator ni dia provide electrical power to the pumps that circulated coolant through the reactor's core. Maknanya electric power yang daripada generator tu guna untuk pump air dekat tempat cooling dia lah. So tak adalah benda reaktor tu panas. And then reactors electricity supplied fail and their emergency diesel generators automatically started. Dia punya diesel generator started automatically. And then bila dah start tu, tiba-tiba the earthquake had also generated a tsunami 14 meters high. Tsunami datang and then dia rosakkan pula emergency generator yang ada dekat situ, which then caused the failure of the emergency generators and loss of power to the circulating pumps. Bila yang emergency pun rosak, maknanya elektrik dah tak ada, cooling pump pun dah tak boleh jalan and rosak. So the resultant loss of reactor core led to 3 nuclear meltdowns, 3 hydrogen explosions, and the release of radioactive contamination in units 1, 2, and 3.
So as we all know, the nuclear accident of Chernobyl ni obviously ada banyak devastating effects on humans. So first and foremost, it causes acute radiation syndrome. This is what happens when you experience a high level of radiation, and this can actually cause death. Second is people exposed to radiation from nuclear accidents have high anxiety levels and are more likely to report unexplained physical symptoms and poor health. Moving on to the next one, it increases the risk of radiation-induced cancer, particularly thyroid cancer and leukemia, which can be passed down from generations to generations. For example, following the Chernobyl nuclear reactor explosion, more than 6,000 people developed thyroid cancer, probably after drinking contaminated milk as children. But this may not be just from the nuclear accident. Sebab following the Chernobyl nuclear accident, the damage control was very poor, as the citizens near the reactor was not even notified of the dangers of radiation. So the following days after the explosion, walaupun the reactor terbakar for 10 days, for the first few days, kids were still going to school, they were still playing around the park, people were still going to work. They went through their days like it was normal je. And this lagi helped like them exposed to the radiation, and this may be the cause that lagi ramai people develop cancer. So last one is psychological effects of nuclear accidents macam Chernobyl ni remain widespread as people result to suicides and alcohol abuse and apathy due to the nuclear accident.
So the effects of nuclear accidents on the environment. Number 1, radioactive materials were deposited mostly on open surfaces such as lawns, parks, roads, and building roofs, for instance, by contaminated rain. This has caused the secondary contamination of sewage systems and sludge storage. So bila radioaktif tu dah tersebar tu, and some of them dah naik dekat awan and form hujan yang very contaminated, so dia akan masuk dekat sewage system and siapa-siapa yang macam guna air tu air tu dah rosak lah. And then number 2, radionuclides were taken up by plants and later by animals. In some areas, they were subsequently found in milk, meat, forest, food products, fresh water, and wood. Macam tu lah. Number 3, results in increased levels of radioactive material in surface water systems and water bodies close to the reactor site. Just as before, bila dia dah meletup, dia punya radioactive punya materials tu dah memang very widespread. So some of them masuk dekat air and ada dekat plants and all. Dia rosakkan semua dekat persekitaran tu. Number 4, increased mortality rates of coniferous plants, soil invertebrates and mammals, as well as reproductive losses in plants and animals. And number 5, genetic effects of radiation in both somatic and germ cells have been observed in plants and animals. However, whether the observed cytogenic anomalies in somatic cells have an detrimental biological significance is not known.
Hello everyone. Now we continue on the Vietnam War during the 1950s. Kalau nak ceritakan on nuclear effects is nothing much actually, sebab because during World War I memang US actually nak elakkan daripada guna nuclear weapon. Tapi there are some things yang effects yang lebih kurang macam ni that we will explain lah further on. Okay, next. Oh, okay. So ini just a bit of a backstory. So it is like a war between the North and South Vietnam. But North is the communist and then South is the non-communist lah, anti-communist. And then US pun, US memang take a big part in this Vietnam War after what happened in the next slide nanti. Okay, next slide. This is Operation Rolling Thunder yang occurs during March 2nd, 1965 until November 2nd, 1968. Now, yang ni dia tak ada guna nuclear weapon, but there are some things yang may come in probably informative for you guys, hopefully. Okay, next. Okay, so this is a walleye bomb. Now it's a bit odd for explaining like what bomb to use, but it's pretty important to at least know some of the things. So the operational Rolling Thunder ni, dia punya code name dia is actually American Bombing Campaign, which they use like a lot of, in simple explanation lain, they use a lot of bombs yang macam airfield bombs yang lagi banyak compared to the World War II yang digunakan untuk attack North Vietnam. So dia orang punya walleye smart bomb ni is not like it's like a regular bomb, tapi it is a smart bomb that falls to the target solely by the force of gravity, but dia punya face dengan wings tu, they control the surface yang move in response untuk apa yang dia orang punya target lah. So dia lagi like more bahaya lah. It's like a heat-seeking missile, tapi it's not a heat-seeking missile. They just the air resistance helps moving it, making it to glide and fall to the target. So ini just a bit of a backstory. Okay, next slide. So this is the best part, how a bomb actually works and causes. Sebab kita nak explain the effects tu agak susah untuk people to understand lah probably. So kita terpaksa explain how it actually works. So it's a bit like a redox reaction yang kita belajar like in chemistry. Basically in every bomb ataupun any type of bomb, most importantly memang diorang akan ada nitrogen. Sebab nitrogen ni, dia reacts quickly with a tremendous amount of force, and it is the power behind the curtain of a high power lah for an explosion that could cause many effects nanti yang akan explain. So oxygen, kenapa ada oxygen? Sebab oxygen tu is part of the three types of heating element. So daripada like depending on the air, that diorang memang dah kumpul oxygen in that, it would cause a tremendous amount of force and akan ada effects lah yang akan explain. So of course the light elements carbon and hydrogen tu usually serve as the reducing components of the high explosive formulation. Occasionally metal powders ni of the lighter elements macam aluminium, magnesium, they added as the reducing agent. So ada oxidation and reduction lah. And then of course akan ada dia punya explosive mixtures macam black powder, and also they use charcoal and elemental sulfur as reductants. Ini contoh dia yang semua orang kenal, TNT ataupun in the formula of C7H5N3O6 ataupun trinitrotoluene. Okay, next. So now we're moving on dekat our main topic, which is the white phosphorus and napalm bombs. Now, white phosphorus and napalm bombs ni, dia bukan nuklear, tapi it is part of the history yang macam like sampai like satu dunia ni realize that war is like is something that is bad lah, memang really really bad. So white phosphorus occurs dekat Vietnam in 1966 and napalm bombs in 1972. Okay, next. So what is napalm made of? It is a mixture of benzene, polystyrene and gasoline. Next. So gasoline ni nak lagi senang, dia punya mixture, because of that it becomes far more flammable. Right, next. Okay. Napalm ni dia a bit like, it's not a dia punya like the heating process tu, it can like overheat like up to 800 degrees Celsius based on part Google. Okay, next. So incendiary mixture ni, what is incendiary mixture? It is just mixture untuk basically heat things up lah. It's a flammable mixture. So dia punya ratio is 2:1:1, coconut fatty acids, naphthenic acid and palmitic acid. Yang the main acid ni yang that is highly flammable, I think it's it is naphthenic acid. Yeah, naphthenic acid. Okay, okay, so alright, teacher. And also napalm there is very sticky and will adhere to anything it makes contact with. Yang ni I akan explain further nanti. So what is white phosphorus pula? Tadi napalm bombs, sekarang white phosphorus pula. Okay, so white phosphorus ni, it is quite toxic and ignites spontaneously under air. It burns very hot and very bright and creates lots of smoke that is very poisonous. So white phosphorus ni, it's nak katakan kalau if you put on room temperature pun, atau like it can actually macam ignite and like even at 30 degrees Celsius. Nanti I akan there's a video that we all akan share nanti. Okay, next. So phosphorus ada 4 type, ada white, red, violet, black. So white phosphorus ni apa yang kita nak explain lah. Violet, black, we put that thing apart. Red phosphorus ni kita gunakan untuk lighting match. Tapi white ni dia macam lighter match juga, tapi dia tak sesuai lah, sebab dia produce dia punya smoke tu yang poisonous and toxic, so we don't want that lah. And it is more nak katakan more reactive than the other 3, the most lah. Okay, next.
Anyway, now for the fun
So
part of
ini
lighting it on fire.
what I meant. Kenapa white
Using a
phosphorus
barbecue
ni is
lighter, I lit it on
actually
fire and you can see that it
it's
quickly
very
gets going.
poisonous and toxic. It's very dangerous. Even if you macam like, if there is macam like complete 3 heating
To put it
elements,
out, I simply placed another
oxygen,
crystallizing dish on
then the
top to
heating
cut out
element,
its
and then
oxygen
also
supply.
itulah yang ni. So we can actually
And now
macam
to show you the scary part of white phosphorus. You see, right when the crystallizing dish is removed, immediately it starts burning again.
Lah. Tapi when
This is because it can spontaneously ignite at temperatures as low as 30 degrees Celsius.
Literally akan burn up.
So you can imagine how hard it is to extinguish any white phosphorus if you ever were to get any on.
So tu je lah yang apa yang nak explain. It is very reactive. Itu like approved lah for the this experiment is approved. Okay, next. So to summarize the napalm and white phosphorus ni, napalm is simply gasoline mixed with some sort of thickening agent. White phosphorus is a solid which burns readily in air, and white phosphorus ni is actually napalm B. It is white phosphorus is actually napalm B. It is part of a new napalm bomb yang and can actually ignite underwater juga, sebab it is jellified napalm tambah dengan white phosphorus that is highly reactive.
Okay. Next, what happened in Vietnam War is Operation Ran Shan, which is an operation made by the US government to defoliate most of the forests in Vietnam. Next. So why did the US government use it? Is in 1961, President John F. Kennedy authorized the start of Operation Ran Shan, which is a code name for the aerial herbicide program in Vietnam. After US official pointed out that the British had already used herbicide in the Malayan emergency, which is, kalau ingat lagi sejarah, the one yang komunis serang Malaysia tu, it set the precedent that it is a legal tactic of warfare. The herbicides were given code names such as Agent Blue, Agent White, Agent Pink, Agent Purple, and one of the most known one is Agent Orange. So the main purpose of using the herbicide is to defoliate a rural forested land, depriving guerrillas of food and concealment because the komunis yang dari North Vietnam, diorang duduk kat hutan macam komunis yang kat Melaya dulu lah. Diorang duduk kat hutan, dapatkan makanan dari hutan, diorang base diorang kat hutan. Diorang juga guna this herbicide program untuk clearing sensitive areas such as around base perimeters. Sebabkan Vietnam ni banyak hutan, kalau diorang buat base, ada banyak hutan sekeliling base tu, senanglah komunis boleh hide kat hutan tu dan serang tiba-tiba. People such as Samuel P. Huntington argued that the program was part of policy forced draft urbanization, which is you could say macam yang kampung baru kat Malayan Emergency as well. Diorang suruh penduduk kat kampung-kampung pergi ke tu, tapi ini macam lebih paksa lah. Sebabkan ni, which aim to destroy the ability of peasants to support themselves in the countryside, forcing them to flee to the US-dominated cities, depriving the guerrillas of their rural support base. This can be seen where the program mostly destroyed food that was produced to support the local civilian population, which caused famine and severe malnourishment. Over the whole period of the Vietnam War, the US used nearly 20 million US gallons, which is around 76 million liters of herbicides. Yang diorang guna like almost the whole Vietnam lah, diorang spray untuk hancurkan hutan tu semua. Next.
Now moving on dekat the effects, which is basically apa yang kita nak explain lah. Ini the main point. Alright, first ini is about napalm girl. So I tak nak tunjuk like the picture of it, of the effect that occurs, the napalm bomb tu yang occurs in Vietnam tu, because it's a bit inappropriate, takut ada yang terasa apa, tapi don't worry, nanti you can just search je napalm girl. Okay, so the napalm effects ni, the wounds that are contaminated by white phosphorus ni, ini about white phosphorus, ini occurs in humans, us, can reignite days later when bandages are removed, produce poisoning that leads to organ failure and death, and lead to lifetime health problems. It's very dangerous sebab kalau api dia boleh just padam just like that. Tapi kalau white phosphorus ni, kalau dia still ada, you need to macam cover up with a bandage untuk so that there is no oxygen masuk ke dalam tu. So just cover it up with a bandage. Tapi if you buka dengan bandage and without any macam any approval from a doctor atau any experience ke apa kan, it can actually reignite balik. So it's very dangerous. Now kalau to the environment, it can actually lead to the increase of carbon emission. Okay, carbon emission. So they actually deoxygenate the environment by 20%. The decrease of oxygen, and increase because of the toxic gas too. They produce carbon dioxide and also carbon monoxide. So that explains the asphyxiation. Asphyxiation is basically the deoxygenation of the environment. I said akan ada rapid deoxygenation that produce an atmosphere of approximately 20% carbon dioxide. So the lagi satu effects to humans, ataupun animals, large surface area contact results in rapid loss of blood pressure, loss of consciousness because due to the loss of loss of excessive blood, and also death. So ini just the napalm girl, nama dia Phan Thi Kim Phuc. Fortunate for her, she survived the Vietnam War. So kalau sesiapa nak search in Google apa, nak tengok more documentary about her, you can search there.
Okay, next pula ialah the health effects of Operation Ranshan, or more specifically Agent Orange on humans. Dioxin ni the chemical substance yang jumpa dalam Agent Orange ni, yang sebabkan the spray banyak-banyak kat Vietnamese civilian and also some US veterans, diorang dapat masuk dalam badan diorang. So high traces of dioxin has been found in blood samples of Vietnamese people, and even offspring of civilians affected during the Vietnam War has traces of dioxin. It is also found in human milk and adipose tissue. So kalau dia jumpa human milk, maksudnya anak diorang yang lahir like bertahun selepas Vietnam War pun akan dapat kena dioksin ni sebabkan human milk tu sendiri ada dioksin. Dioxin causes a lot of health effects on the human body. Short-term exposure of humans to high levels of dioxins may result in skin lesions such as chloracne and fatty darkening of the skin and altered liver function. While long-term exposure is linked to impairment of the immune system, developing nervous system, the endocrine system, and the reproductive function. This is also considered carcinogen to humans, which is, kalau still ingat bio lesson sebelum ni, is a mutagen yang boleh cause cancer. A developing fetus is very sensitive to the exposure of dioxin and could cause several birth defects such as spina bifida and neural tube defects. And gambar spina bifida tu boleh nampak kat kanan tu ada macam quite tragic lah. Other than that, exposure to dioxin can also cause development of cancer such as non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and soft tissue sarcoma, as well as the skin disease called chloracne, macam yang sebelum ni dah kata dah. And environmental effects of efficient ration is like before, dorang kata the reason dorang guna is to defoliate forest, and until now the effects can still be seen. And the effects are deforestation. Official US military records stated that 20% of the jungles in South Vietnam were destroyed. This causes the destruction of habitats and reduced animal populations. Other than that, the civilians, other than contracting the the chemical substance dioxin, they also can't use the land that is sprayed with Agent Orange and also other herbicides for their livelihoods. Land exposed to the herbicides become unworkable due to the soil contaminated, causing farmers' livelihood and crops destroyed. Other contamination is, like I said before, the dioxin is very stable in the soil, which because due to the rain and all that, the movement of dioxin from soil into river sediment, then into fish, and from fish consumption into people is a way of dioxin. And people, like I said before, dia punya human milk boleh jumpa dioxin as well, and others dia akan sambung-sambung for generations, affecting those who live in those environment. So I think that's it. Thank you.